welcome to this episode of Renovations for Beginners, a show where we show you, the viewers at home, the fundamentals to renovating, from conceptualising an idea to bringing it to reality. I'm Michael Dre, your host for the show. You can follow us on Facebook, just search Renovations for Beginners, or you can email us on any aspects to renovating or any questions you may want answered for upcoming shows on renovationsforbeginners@gmail.com. On today's show, we're looking at a real-life example of a renovation just completed. I was fortunate to be part of this renovation process from the tender stage, where I attended the project and subsequently won it, through to the building phase, and now where today's guest gets to enjoy the finished outcome with her husband Simon and her two young children, Liam and Dylan. Catherine O'Donovan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
And thanks for Dylan as well. He's part of the studio audience.
Hopefully it won't make too much noise.
He's our first studio guest for the actual season. So today we're going to be talking about your renovation.
Yeah.
And did you enjoy the process?
It was pretty seamless, I've got to say. We had a pretty lucky experience, I think, from all the horror stories that are out there. And I think one of the things that we thought that we'd done well was pick the right people for our build. We made sure that we had the right sort of architect and builder that we could discuss and negotiate items with all the way through the process from beginning to end. And I think that's what made it such a seamless experience for us.
I'm glad I helped you enjoy it.
It was good.
Before we get in, I just want you to tell the viewers at home what your house was like beforehand, and I think we may have a couple of images come up on screen as you're talking.
Okay, our house is an old Queenslander positioned on a double block in West End. It's so it's about 800 square meters, and our house is up the front right-hand corner. It's built. The front bit of the house was probably built in about 1890s, and then the house that we bought and moved into was actually split into flats in about the 70s or 80s. It was in very poor condition, lots of fibro. It had 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms, and like I said, it was in pretty bad nick. We moved into one half of it and lived in one half for a while, and then took part of one of the fibro walls down and opened it up when we had Liam, and then just did a minor renovation, just put a laundry in and a small deck, just until we fully renovated it with you guys. Yeah. So. And
just actually for the benefit of the viewers, can you tell them what we ended up doing? What we added? What
we did is we took the back off the house. We kept the enclosed verandas and the sort of 2-3 front rooms, and then what we did is build a finger, if you like, along the western side of the property, and it went. It was sort of the same size as the Queenslander, and then up into a sort of tower at the back. It didn't have a big footprint, so there's lots of space still around the house. So it's not a huge square meter renovation, but it definitely, we've packed everything in that we needed to put into the property.
Just on episode 1, we discussed the dream stage, and that's where we talked about like the brief and budget. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do for today's show is take you through those steps as we've seen in previous episodes, and episode 1 was talking about the brief and the budget. So did you have an initial brief?
We did. So our architect, Stuart Vokes, asked us to prepare a brief on how we lived, not how we wanted to live or what we wanted in the house. He just wanted a description of how we lived. And I think that was interesting because what he wanted to find out really was who we were as people and what we valued. And I think that was probably pretty important in delivering a project that met those requirements.
And did you have any, because on episode 1 we discussed needs and wish lists, did you have any needs you need?
We definitely needed another bedroom. Yep. And we knew we needed another bathroom. Yep. Because we had 1 bathroom and effectively 2 bedrooms. And we wanted a 3-bedroom house with at least 2 bathrooms.
Did you have any wish lists?
We wanted a lot of day beds in the house. That was a key requirement because we like to take afternoon naps.
and I don't want you to mention any costs or anything because that's a personal thing, which I respect. But how did you derive your budget?
It was a combination of what we had in the bank, but also what we thought was a price too much to overcapitalize on the property. So we had to we did a bit of research around, saw what the top properties in the area would sell for, and thought, well, we have to keep under that and around our amount. We also thought that by keeping the build small and in the backyard and keeping a lot of space around the property, we still presented a property that could be developed in future if people wanted to take it. Not that we would ever sell this house and we were never moving, but that was a consideration for us.
I know, actually I'll clarify, you ended up using Stuart Vokes from Owen Vokes, and it's Peters now, so it's Owen Vokes and Peters.
Oh, yeah,
we can't forget Aaron.
Yeah.
We'd like to have Stuart on the show, but it's only a half-hour program. But I know you went through a process before you got to Stuart. Can you?
So we met with probably about 5 architects all up. We engaged one architect to do initial design, and that was an early sort of process with that architect, and we realized in that process that we weren't seeing eye to eye. We didn't quite get each other. I don't think the relationship just wasn't gelling.
Chemistry.
And really you need that. And I was also fortunate to be able to compare our experience with a friend who was going through it at the time, and her experience was completely different. So I knew that we needed to change, and we did change, and then we went with Stuart, and that was from pretty much the get-go. We knew he understood us, he knew what we wanted, and he would work to our demands and values.
Even throughout the build process, it was just I could see the relationship between Stuart, yourself, and also with Simon. It was like you guys have been mates for years.
It felt like that, and I hope we are now. Because it was a very pleasant, and it was joy. We had a lot of joy and fun on the build, and I think that's what you want.
And just between when you first lived in the property to you decided to do the renovation, and you got up to a concept design that you wanted to work with. How long did that take? So we bought the property in 2008, and I think we met with Stuart a year or so after that.
Yep.
And then
from there, it was 3 years. So I was pregnant with
3 years. That was for when you moved in, but up to so there was probably about 6 months from when you first engaged Stuart to where you got your concept?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, we took a little while, and so that was Simon and I are very slow on things and take a while to digest things. So 6 months, and then probably another 3 months tender, finalizing, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, we'll just quickly cut to a break, and we'll be right back.